bit of soreness today from the last big run before I run Broad Street. I'm actually feeling better today than I was yesterday. Yesterday was rough.
I have a big spring bowl on Saturday.
8.5 miles up and down. Well, not too many hills, but around those hills near me. And,
I was sorry.
I was going to say, it's way more difficult than Broad Street's going to be, so should be good.
I always feel great when I get to the gym and like do stuff there. It's just getting to the gym is the hard part. Like going isn't like I enjoy going and lifting and running. Like I'll run on the treadmill and be like, my body feels great. And then I'll leave and be like, I'm coming back tomorrow. And then I don't go back tomorrow because I have things to do. It's like I would rather play NCAA tonight. Like I went home on Friday or Thursday night and did that after the long day of it was longer for you guys than me, but the track invite and the stress that came with that last half hour of putting the page together. I went home and played like 4 hours of NCAA. It's like, I'll play one game. I ended up playing like 6.
I got home and I fell asleep after like 20 minutes. I was just tired.
That doesn't surprise me.
I was just tired and needed to get up the next day and get started on stuff. But yeah, Sunday it was up at 6:30, which is earlier than I usually get up. And I was out on the street by like 7:45, 8 o'clock to walk up the giant hill near me so that way I could then start my run, and was home at like 10:30. And it felt good. It's like you said, like in the middle of it, it feels pretty good. And then afterwards you're like, why did I do this? Why do I hate myself?
Welcome to Eye on Sports, where we delve into the biggest Butler County sports topics. I'm your host, Butler Eagle Sports writer Derek Pida. Joining me are fellow sports writer Brendan Howell and Eagle Sports editor Jake Murda Adams.
I'm not a runner, but I do it anyway.
Is there a certain situation or certain like time where you guys remember like you realize I'm not cool anymore? Like I'm not like young and hip anymore.
I don't think I was ever cool, so
Well, that's true, yeah.
Well,
I didn't have to worry about that.
Wait, so you're saying that we're not?
You'll understand. You'll understand here. So I went to. She's gonna say already however many seconds in, but I went to Bailey's Easter yesterday. And
2 minutes.
97.
She has a younger cousin. He's 14. He goes to Seneca Valley. I'm not gonna say the name. But he does not have very good manners. Like he's just very like he doesn't listen. Just you'll talk to him, he'll just like keep walking, like ignore you. And he's riding his bike around, and I have football in my car. I always have my football in my car, and it's nice out. Rambo's like on the lead. We're all sitting outside, like waiting for the dinner to be ready. It's like, Bailey, like ask him if he wants to play catch with me. Like I'll go get my football. And she asks, and he goes, my friend's coming, and maybe later. And you can tell he's not really interested. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the car, get the football, and throw it around anyways. I'm just throwing it up in the air. Bailey wanted to play catch some, and eventually I put the ball down to go play with Rambo, and one of his friends was coming from the neighborhood. So he comes, and they're like throwing a lacrosse ball back and forth with lacrosse sticks. I look away for a few minutes. I look back, and they're playing catch with my football. He wasn't interested in playing catch with me, but he started playing catch with him. And then I was like, Bailey saw it. I looked. I was like, oh. So I was kind of sad about it. I was
your
like,
feelings were hurt.
yeah, I was like, man, I feel left out. And then she's like, can Brendan play? And
so
he's
why
like,
didn't you intercept? Hello. The move is that when one of them throws it, you just jump in and
should have went and taken his knees out or something.
Bailey's like,
yeah, right?
Can Brendan play? And he just goes,
us kids
like,
in the
it's
80s,
my football.
we just interject. You go over, one of them gets tackled, you intercept the football. That's how you
I
play.
can't tackle
You
a
should have
kid.
brought
I've
your
been kicked
hacky
out.
sack. If you brought your hacky sack, he would have been all over that.
I didn't have any
Oh,
of
man,
those.
I haven't done that since middle school.
Wow.
Probably for good reason.
Well, you don't have your handy hacky sack ready at all times?
Did you guys ever have a situation like that where you're like, man, I'm too old now. Like they don't think I'm cool enough to play with. Like
No, we haven't because we are cool.
I also just don't.
The
hang
camera's
around
on,
with a
so
lot
I
of high
won't do
schoolers.
what I was gonna do there.
The worst that I have is like my cousin's kids, 2 of them. Well, one in particular, Savannah. She's 9 now, 10, something like that. But she doesn't trust. Especially when she was a baby, she didn't trust men. She just would like it. It is pulling teeth to get her to be like, can you say goodbye to like your second cousin Jake or whatever at the end of like whatever family function we have. I see her like once or twice a year, and it's more just like a shyness thing, but it's like, come on, like I actually like my family, give or take, for the most part, and I want to talk to some of them a little bit, even the little ones, even though they're running around. Like they were at Easter at my parents on Saturday, and like everything I was getting texts about, they're running around with the eggs and then they're biking around the yard and whatnot. And, they're not going to hang out with me, and that's fine. But like at the end of the day, like say goodbye, just give you a high five, something.
Yeah. I was a little bit more comfortable. Like I went to Bailey's Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I was very like meek. I didn't really want to talk. I didn't want to seem weird.
It's kind of like you the first 4 months you worked here.
I didn't really talk.
You didn't talk when you first came in this room. I was like, I don't think he likes me. You would look at the table and you go, that's fine. You'd be like this.
If there was a Venn diagram of the amount of words that were spoken by the four of us, Brendan was last for the first like 4 or 5 episodes.
That's changed.
It has.
No,
That's
but
good.
yesterday, like her grandparents have like this staircase up their yard. They have like a hill for a yard, and on the side they have like nice like bricks, cinder blocks that like go beside the stairs. And I stepped on one of them, and it broke. And I broke it, and Bailey goes in to tell them. Yeah, well, they knew me before, but I go in, and Bailey tried getting her grandma like fake yell at me, and I walk in, and I think she had some drinks, so she was happy and laughing.
She tried getting her grandma to what?
No, she tried getting her grandma to fake yell at me.
Oh,
and I went in, she's like, "Did you break my like staircase out there?" I was like, yeah, but I could have seriously gotten injured because like it's cinder block, and I could have fallen backwards. And one of her cousins was like, make sure they have homeowners insurance. I was like, now that you mention it, my head kind of hurts. They thought that was hilarious. So
the day that we moved into our apartment in Cranberry, my father-in-law cracked his head off the brick that's right above the garage door because we had like the trailer, the truck pulled back into it. And he's coming down the ramp, but he came down and he's like 6'4", 6'5". And he just cracked his skull right off the top of it, and he was bleeding pretty good for a little bit. And I'm waiting for him to erupt because like he hit himself pretty hard in the head, like it's just gonna make you mad. And he just like has to go like sit down and just like not talk for
concussed.
a couple minutes. He's just then sitting there with like tissues just against his head because we don't have anything unpacked yet, and he's just like this, and I feel bad for Bob.
You're into like video games, like
a little bit.
Do you like zombie video games? You know what The Last of Us is?
It's like Mallory's favorite game. The first one, she despises the second one.
Have you watched the episodes?
I watched season 1.
Don't tell us.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah, no spoilers.
Spoilers.
We have not started season 2 yet because we haven't signed back up for HBO. We're probably gonna wait until after we get back from our honeymoon, just so we can binge watch it.
It's pretty good so far.
Good. She's really hesitant about this because she hates what they did in the second
If
game.
you know what happens in the video game, I never played the video game, so I'm kind of like just watching. And Bailey, spoiler came up on Facebook about what happens to one of the characters, and it's like, oh well, that sucks. Like
video games. You know what I watched like 6 episodes of over the weekend? Do you remember a show from the mid-80s called Highway to Heaven?
Oh,
Michael Landon.
Oh
yeah, it's.
Well, wait, the guy that was in that with him was also in Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah,
and you know what's funny?
Victor French. Yeah.
Brendan, I'm actually on your side on this one. I don't know what they're talking about.
Hey, Friday night, my neighbors and I sat out on the porch because it was so nice. Drank. I needed some drinks.
Water.
Orange juice.
Thirsty.
I'm 44 years old. We had some drinks, and we sat on the patio, and then we started talking about Jason Bateman and how he was on Little House on the Prairie, and I'm like, no way. So we went inside, and we found the episode, and we watched it.
Shannon Doherty was on Little House
She
too.
sure was. She played his sister.
Yeah.
Anyways, fun fact.
Huh.
Jake, tell us about these bobbleheads you brought today.
Got
some new bobbleheads.
Basement clean
on
out
the
day
table.
was Saturday. That's how I spent my Easter.
I think Wiz Khalifa's my favorite.
Wiz Khalifa's pretty solid. So my in-laws had several, I want to say it's close to 100. It might actually be more than that. Bobbleheads over the years from all the Pirates and Penguins games that they went to. There's not nearly as many Steelers. And some of the bobbleheads are also figurines, so I'll just lump them all into one thing. And they're going to start like cleaning them out and selling some of them or getting rid of some of them or whatnot. But we were going through to see if there were any duplicates or things that we wanted to bring back. And Mallory and I already have the Wiz Khalifa one and the David Bednar one because we were at those 2 games last year and the year before. So we brought them in.
Thanks.
Yep. New decor.
Did you get your bobblehead this weekend?
I was gonna go and then I didn't. We did some. What else did we do on Saturday?
You didn't go on Friday?
I went on Friday.
That's
no, I was lying to you, Jake. I just left. I was like hanging out in line. No, our seats.
Podcast is going to be a very different podcast.
That's actually part of the Beyond Butler, so I won't describe.
Well, and Derek went this weekend, but you seemed sad. when you came in here today. So
The Pirates
Well,
losing just happens.
It's just one of those weekends where, the Pirates lost yesterday. It was just
they didn't score.
Did
a
your
run for
Easter
you.
basket get stolen too?
I didn't get an Easter basket. Not that that's why.
I'm gonna get one either.
But the Pirates loss was just like the cherry on top. So many things went bad this weekend.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just a incredibly frustrating weekend.
I'm sorry.
And
We're glad you're here.
today is not helping. It's like extending into Mondays.
I'm always here if you need a hug.
We should all hug. Why don't you guys just do that right now? Just hug each other. Hug it out.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
He's like,
I give pretty good hugs.
he's like, we don't want to. We don't want to
nice
do that.
squeeze.
Yeah, wait. You got until you got someone calling in here in 2 minutes. So
Maybe they'll put a smile on your face.
If history repeats itself, I'll just be even more frustrated because I don't. Pushing buttons. Some people know how to push buttons.
yeah. Oh yeah, I feel that.
Am I one of those people?
No,
Every day.
no, you're just incredibly naive about a lot of things, but we'll get you there.
Like 80s
but in
TV
a
shows.
sweet and innocent way.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Where it's like, was I like that? I have to think. I'm like, might have been.
Sometimes it's nice to be blissfully ignorant.
Is that
Is that
it?
a saying?
Is that it?
Huh?
I think.
You know, there's a TV show that I'm actually excited for this week, and I don't know how quickly I'll be able to get to it, but it's season 2 of Andor. I loved season 1. It's like
Andor.
it's from Star Wars.
It's
so
Star Wars.
if you saw Star Wars Rogue One, which is all about like the Death Star being built and them trying to,
Is that with Childish Gambino, Donald Glover?
that was the other one that came out. He was playing Lando Calrissian.
Why
Yeah.
is this not?
I have his action figure from that. It
Oh,
looks
really?
like Donald Glover. Yeah. I saw it in Five Below. I couldn't pass it up. I was like, it's pretty cool because I really like Donald Glover and like Childish Gambino.
Season 1 of Andor was like one of the best Star Wars products in a long, long time. And I like season 1 of Mandalorian and season 2 of Mandalorian, but Andor is on another level. So I'm really excited for season 2.
Our music probably doesn't overlap. Do you like 3005 by Childish Gambino? You know that song?
I don't think so. I know some Childish Gambino.
Hello? This is Derek.
It's John.
Hi, I don't know why they're not
Hard,
listening. They're not talking to you, but hello,
Hi.
Hard.
Derek.
Who is this?
It's your dad. Okay.
What's your name?
Is that Derek?
What's your name?
This is
John Pida.
Oh God, it is him. Hey,
It's
Dad.
me. How's it going?
All right. How was your Easter? Better than mine, I hope.
Good.
Did you see us on
too bad
TV?
The Pirates lost.
Yeah.
What's
Did
that?
you see us on TV?
No, because I can't get the channel anymore.
Well, watch the local news. You get the local news, right?
Yeah, but I didn't watch it.
We were
watched the
right
end of the
behind
game over
home
your-
plate. I was like incognito though. I had like like a hat on, and I was kind of like hunched over so nobody would notice me.
Steve
Well, actually, I did catch the last inning when they tied it 4-4, and it went into extra innings, and of course, Guardians scored the 1 run. But
Well,
I did see that.
Nature called when the Guardians scored their run to win the game in the top of the 10th. I was in the bathroom.
Well, that's
But we were part of the
unfortunate timing.
Pirates Home Plate Club, which, I mean, everything's free unless you want alcoholic drinks. That's the one thing you have to pay for, and I drink like 3 alcoholic drinks a year, so that I didn't get anything yesterday. But not unlimited nachos, hot dogs, pop, ice cream. I mean, anything you wanted.
That's
Free.
Well,
Pap.
sounds like
Cracker
you
Jacks.
guys had a good time.
Yeah, we had a good time. But I told him that last week, I think, Brendan, we were talking about our first Pirate game. And I told him about the first Pirate game you took me to in '87. You probably don't remember because you have trouble remembering last week. But Nolan Ryan pitched. It was August of '87. Nolan Ryan pitched, and Mike LaValliere hit like one of his career 16 home runs. And the Pirates won like 5-1, 5-2.
Wow.
See, I can't
Long
remember
time
back
ago.
then. I do remember Forbes Field when I was growing up. I mean, my uncle was a big Pirate fan, and my dad and uncle took me to a lot of Pirate games. I got to see a lot of good games down there. Of course, Clemente. And,
Talk about the price of things.
yeah. Well, it was. I'll tell you what. It was like I think it was $2 to park. Okay, and of course at that time you could bring anything in the Forbes Field you wanted to. So there was a bar across the road that had a special 5 hot dogs for $1. And we'd get a couple bags of hot dogs and take them into the stadium. And I think admission was like $1 or $2 or something like that. And it was a different world back then.
The mid '60s.
Yeah.
So I've known Derek for about 3.5 years now. We've bonded a lot over his Steelers fandom. He knows a lot more about the 70s and 80s than I could ever imagine. But could you kind of bring us back and tell us when you realized that Derek was a Steelers super fan? Like, is there any certain instance that you remember of being like, man, this kid is kind of nuts with the Steelers?
Well, what really started him, I was never much of a Steeler fan.
You still aren't unless you got money on it.
Well, but my father-in-law was probably one of the most avid Steeler fans ever. Of course, we go down there on Sundays and watch the games, and I think my father-in-law's influence on Derek made him a big Steeler fan. He grew up, with my father-in-law, and I think that's what probably prompted him to be such a big Steeler fan and probably getting interested in a lot of sports in general. So I'd say my father-in-law had a lot to shape Derek's, being a big Steeler fan.
He was a Steeler fan beginning in like the late 40s, and they didn't start getting good for
30 years later.
Yeah, well, basically the early 70s. So yeah, he went through a lot of lean years and stuck with them. So. People talk about, the Steelers are horrible now. They suck. They're horrible. It's like, dude, go back to the 60s when they were winning like 2 or 3 ball games a year.
They had those cool Batman uniforms, though.
I'm glad they don't bring those out. Batman uniforms.
They were pretty much of a joke back in the 60s. Nobody was a Steeler fan. Everybody was, after the Pirates won the World Series in '60. There was a lot more people, were Pirate fans, and the Steelers were just like doormats, But once they did become a good team, then of course the city backed them and everything like that, and it was a special time back then.
And that I'm not saying the Pirates are ever going to get to the level of the Steelers in the 70s where they won. Could you imagine
Probably
the Pirates
not.
4 World Series titles in 6 years? But if the Pirates got to the point where they were competing consistently, this town, they're just starved down there for baseball success. They want it, and people sometimes confuse. They're mad at Nutting now because they don't think he puts the effort and obviously the money into the team. That's not people speaking because that's Pirate fans who want to see a winner. People confuse that with you're against the Pirates now. They just want to see a winner. They are Pirate fans who are sick and tired of what we saw this past weekend. 3 losses. Yesterday was close, but Skeens goes out Saturday. They don't score any runs for him. It's sickening. I'm sick of it. I just think
the fans in Pittsburgh, the diehard Pirate fans, deserve better from compared to what they're getting, and the current owner, I don't think they're ever going to field a decent product with him. And I don't know if he has a willingness to try to sell the team or what, but they just you can argue that Pittsburgh is a small market and stuff like that, and there's no cap in the in professional baseball, and the Yankees have to spend all this money and everything. But somewhere along the line, you have to field a decent product, and they don't have it right now.
Speaking of baseball, and we're gonna turn it to a little bit of a lighter discussion. You got to tell the guys the story about you playing ball and 8 players to 9 players. Remember when you showed up late? You got to tell that story.
Yeah, well, it's not one of my favorite stories to tell, but it is true. I don't know what the rules in Pony League was back then, but you had to field a certain amount of players or you had to forfeit.
9.
And I was late. I was late getting to the game, and my father dropped me off, and really they had already forfeited the game. We only had like 7 players or something like that, or maybe we had 8. But anyway, I showed up, went up to the manager, and I said, "Okay, I'm here." He looked at me. He says, "We're going to just call it a day, John." So,
he shows up to make 9, and they still forfeited the game.
Yeah, I was the right fielder too. They put me in right field because there wasn't a lot of.
What they called you, Clemente, right? You were Clemente.
I was a strikeout king. No, I wasn't a pitcher. I just struck out a lot.
Same here. Don't worry. I know what that's like.
In fact, the one time I got a foul tip and I got a standing ovation, I think. So that just goes to show you how bad my offense.
There was another.
Defensively, I was better. I was better in the field than I was at the plate.
Remember one time he told me he heard a coach for the other team tell the kid batting, "Find the gap." And the player said, somebody said, well, "Where's the gap?" And he said, "Pida in right field."
Yeah, that's true. That's a true story too.
I played 7 years of organized baseball, and 2 of those were really good. The other 5 are pretty bad. So all together,
well, you're a lot better
when you take all 7 years
yeah.
in like average season, I was pretty bad. But I did have 2 really good years, but the other 5 were horrible.
I think when you got up to the pitching was faster, you had a little bit of trouble with
I
the
couldn't
pitching,
catch up to the pitching. Yeah, I couldn't.
You couldn't catch up to the pitching.
And at that point, this is Pony League, right?
Right.
And at that point, you learn the game in Little League. And I played 5 years of Little League. By the time you get to Pony League, if you're not good at, I don't want to hear this, everybody needs to play. This is Pony League. This is, 13, 14-year-old kids. If you're not good, nobody got cut, right? I mean, nobody got cut from a team, but if you're on a team with 14 players and you're the 13th or 14th best player, you shouldn't play. That's just my opinion.
Right.
You've had 5 years to learn the game. I mean, either sit the bench and be happy or just go home.
Derek doesn't believe in late bloomers.
John, when did you notice Derek's penchant for being an encyclopedia of sports and history knowledge? We built this into the show, but I'm curious when this started with him.
Well, I just think he just was so enthusiastic about sports in general that he just started. I think maybe along the line I got him a couple atlases or sports atlases or books, and he would read them, and he just had a penchant for learning as much as he could about, especially Pittsburgh sports. I think that's what really started, and he could always retain knowledge. Like if you'd ask him, he'd come up to me and he said, "Hey, Dad, what were we doing 3 years this day 3 years ago? I can't remember what I did yesterday." And he'd say, "Well, we were doing this." He just had like I don't know if it's a photographic memory or he could retain facts, to a degree that I could never do that, but he does know.
We've talked about this, Brennan and I. You asked me the final score of the Rams-Bengals Super Bowl a few years ago. I know the Rams won, right, but I couldn't tell you. You go back to Super Bowl 13, Steelers-Cowboys, I could not only tell you the final score, I could tell you the order of the plays that were scored. Like, this. We'll do it later. How about that? I think my dad said he's got a date. He's dating the mayor. So,
yeah.
What's her name?
No. Sandy. We're just friends without benefits. Okay.
Oh, I just pulled something in my neck. I laughed so hard. Friends without benefits.
So it's like, do I keep that boring, or do I have to cut that out?
No one knows what the benefits are.
Okay, let's move past benefits.
Actually, I'm having my knee replaced here in June, and she offered to lend me her walker. So
there you go. That's a benefit. Man.
That's a good benefit.
What were you talking about? I lost my train of thought.
What a handsome young man Derek is. That's what we're talking about.
Well, he's better looking than I ever was. What's that?
Steelers, Cowboys. We're doing it later. I'm telling you. After we get 13, we'll do it. I can do it.
Do you like Chipotle, Mr. Pida?
What's that?
Do you like Chipotle?
I've been there a couple times. It's nothing.
You know what he likes?
I'm not
hibachi.
Hibachi.
He loves hibachi. He likes where they squirt the alcohol in his mouth.
Yeah, I like that. That's kind of neat, I always wear that bib though because I don't want to get my clothes off. Nowadays they throw the little pieces of food in your mouth and
He loves
all that stuff. And,
He loves the sweater vest. He's the king of the sweater vest.
yeah, well,
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Well, anything else?
but getting back to Derek, he's not perfect because what's his record this year with the trivia?
17 and 15. It's about to be 17 and 16 after today.
Oh, okay. Well, that's I thought maybe like he'd be 32-0. But
Undefeated would be quite the feat.
Some of the questions you ask him are pretty, they're hard, but
Well, they should be. They
get-
should be. You know,
Yeah, right.
they should be.
I gave him
Right.
one easy one, and he completely just whiffed on it.
Did he?
The answer
Oh,
was
the Jerry Rice. The one, Jerry Rice. Because I thought Jerry Rice is the obvious answer. There's no way you'd be asking me a question where the answer is Jerry Rice, and that was the answer. That's the worst one I've had so far. Heck, that
Yeah,
was
you
back
blew
in
that,
that
yeah.
was back in like November.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Who hit the last home run at Forbes Field?
It's a trick question. It was a high school guy.
The trick question.
Because the last game I played at Forbes Field was actually a high school game.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah,
guy
I was
he went to
there.
high school with. Yeah.
I was there. Was Mount Pleasant area. Which
Bobby
is my alma
Grinsky.
mater.
Bobby Grinsky.
Hit the last home run there. They beat Bethel Park, I think 4-2.
Back in my
For the
day,
WCI.
1970.
That's back when I could walk and talk at the same time.
Not once you get that walker. Don't worry.
It has wheels on it. So
Keep me up to date on that knee surgery and let me know how much work Lonnie's doing to help you out and how much I don't have to do because I'm up here.
well, somebody's going to tell me after that.
Well, Sandy, Miss Mayor, call her over.
She's tied up with her mayoral duties. And
Oh yeah,
I'm sure
300
she'll come
people
over
in
and see me.
300 people in Dawson.
hey, 350. Don't sell us short.
All right, Dad. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you, John.
Well, thanks for inviting me in the podcast, Laura, Brennan, and Jake. I appreciate you letting me speak to everybody, and it was fun.
No problem. Hey,
Yeah,
Laura
thank you.
said she's free this weekend.
Oh
so.
my gosh, stop.
I'm
You need to stop. I'm actually not, but thank you.
Well,
Flattered.
Okay, thanks,
you,
Dad.
John.
Bye.
okay, we'll talk to you guys later,
Okay,
hopefully.
bye.
Okay, bye.
Did you get to see last week's episode or listen to it?
I've listened to a couple minutes. I got to finish it up.
Okay, so you didn't get to
Hopefully
be on. You didn't get to be on Butler, did you?
Not yet. no.
Okay. Well, Derek might have a little surprise today. Remember what you did in Beyond Butler?
What?
Come on.
What?
You remember what you did last week?
Oh yeah.
Do it.
I just want him to do it.
This is the XFL. Vince McMahon.
I wanted him to do
Wait,
that.
lift this up a little bit. It's so good, and I zoom in on his face. I didn't zoom in. I
No,
kind of brought his face up.
I'm
I
crying.
know, right?
I'm crying.
I wanted you to do that when he was just talking, just out of nowhere, like
Oh.
middle of like the first segment, and you would, like he would have to change
It was
his
so
pants.
good. And what's
Scared the
crazy
crap
is
out of me.
I was thinking, I'm wondering if like any of them could. I'm like, I bet Derek could throw something down. And I was thinking it was going to bring it up, and he just did it. And I'm like, it's like you've read my mind. It was amazing.
So last weekend while I was gone in Philly, we did an escape room, which is my first time doing an escape room. And because Mallory now controls everything in my life, we did a Jack the Ripper escape room instead of something like I might have picked, even though it was my weekend in Philly.
I
And
love that she picked Jack the Ripper.
Of course
She's
she
so
did.
cool.
It was- yeah, cool. So the game manager that we had twice tried to scare the crap out of us. One time by banging on the door like 5 minutes after we started and scream like this blood curdling scream. And then the second time she did it, we got into the second room and I didn't notice that she was on the other side of the couch that I walked towards. And I turned around and she pops out from underneath this blanket and does the same blood curdling scream, but this time she's in the room with us and we all jumped. I don't know which scared me more, those two or Derek just now doing what he just did.
You're easily
It's close.
scared. I'm not scared whatsoever.
It
I'm never
wasn't
scared.
the first time that she did it against the door was more of like, okay, that's just the theater of the mind kind of stuff. It worked. The second time it was because I didn't Like I had just turned around and it came from directly behind me, and it was right, like it was behind my head. So like the sheer volume of it is like, oh crap.
I once took pictures at night.
Okay, so get a little closer.
Yes.
Oh, what'd you do? Talk.
Hello.
Okay. Okay, it's okay.
We're back.
Try again. Take 2.
I once took pictures at night in a graveyard in college.
Wow, you're so adventurous.
One
Brave.
thing I guarantee
Brave.
you that you have not done, I guarantee you won't do.
I'm sorry, what? Let's hear it. Oh,
He was pointing
you.
at me.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't know. You seem like you might be, a little on the
On the what?
offside like that. So the day that my wife and I got engaged, we went to a cemetery. Not to get engaged. Earlier in the day, I took her to a cemetery. The one down in Evans City where Night of
Yeah.
the Living Dead was filmed.
Yeah.
And she had no idea I was going to ask her to marry me later in the day. But that was part of our date. I took her because I wanted
It was
to.
like till death do us part sort of thing. Is that what you were doing?
Yeah, kind of. I
Sure,
think she's
sure,
ready
sure.
to.
That's what he's
but
going. Yeah.
You're like, if you don't say yes to me, you're going to end up in the cemetery. I don't know. Like what?
I'm a big Night of the Living Dead fan, like the
Yes.
original movie.
Yes.
And the fact that I'd lived in Butler here since 2002 and I had never been to that cemetery. This was back in, we got engaged in May of 2012. I took her there. She came down to visit me for the weekend. Usually it was me going up to Franklin. That's where she lived. She came down to visit me, and one of the places I intended to stop was the cemetery down there because I had never been there before. And then like an hour later, we were at Moraine at Lake Arthur, and that was the site of our first date like 2 years before, and that's where I asked her to marry me. But the visit to the cemetery was part of our engagement date, but she didn't know it at that point. She didn't find out until Lake Arthur.
And I wouldn't go to a cemetery.
Wait, say that
On
again.
the-
You were a
on
little-
the day you
were
get
soft.
engaged?
You were
Probably.
soft. You were like,
Are you saying I wouldn't go to a cemetery?
I don't know. We
On
don't
the
know
day
what.
you get engaged,
I'm not sure how much Bailey.
on
would
a
like
date
that.
with Bailey,
She might
If
like
you
that.
took her to a cemetery, what do you think she would say?
She'd probably wonder why we're
drop
there.
dead, Brendan.
This is our date.
Finds the hole, kicks him
No,
into it.
It's raining. No, I'm
Grabs
just
the
kidding.
shovel.
I don't
she
know.
like any date I bring her on. She enjoys spending time with me.
Oh, how
Adorable.
sweet is that? Did you see their pictures on social media? They had these like special pictures done.
They don't have Instagram, so they
Oh,
don't.
that's
I do.
right.
Yeah, but he doesn't
does.
follow me because
No.
he doesn't want to know what I do in my.
You
free
also don't
time.
follow me, so it goes both
Well,
ways.
he doesn't follow me. He just follows the podcast.
This is true. People don't need to. I mean, if you follow me, I'm not going to block you, but at the same time, like
I thought we were friends. Okay, Jake,
we're
fine.
friends. I'm friends with people that I don't follow on Facebook and Instagram too. It's fine.
No, I
It's
don't.
fine.
I don't follow anyone that I'm not.
So what's the
cool
point of
with.
having Instagram then? If you're not going to follow your friends.
I use
I'll
Twitter.
follow every single one of them.
I use Twitter.
The whole time that we've had these weird conversations, I've just been watching Derek write down his notes from Super Bowl 13.
I'm getting that to you later.
At first, I couldn't figure out. I thought he was writing a note for me while we were talking with your dad, like to like ask something or
He's
say
asking
something.
me about Bradshaw. Something about Bradshaw. No.
And then I realized what he was doing because I saw like the score.
I knew right away. As soon as he started writing, I was like, I know what he's doing.
Are you right-handed or left-handed? Okay.
For the audio audience, that was right-handed.
So this past Thursday, Jake and I, along with our full-time photographers, Rob McGraw and Morgan Phillips, covered the 60th annual Butler Track and Field Invitational. Jake, of course, this is your first April with us, so this was your first experience covering that event. 90 teams, 2,000 athletes. It went from 11 in the morning to 11:30 at night, so over 12 hours. What are your thoughts that you came away from covering that event for the first time?
I'm gonna go contrarian here for a brief moment and say any high school event that ends after 10 o'clock should have to be postponed and started again. Like there should be curfew with high school sports, in part because of the journalists that have to cover it, but also because why are we sending kids home at 12 o'clock? I think most kids didn't have school on Friday, but I could be wrong that maybe someone else did, but I was just sitting there like, some of these kids have like an hour and a half long drive back home. That's really long.
There was a kid there. I saw a kid there from Bradford. You know where Bradford is. You've been to the Kinzu Bridge,
Yep.
right? The one that got blown down
Multiple
by the tornado.
times, yep.
You know the drive you had to get up there. Bradford's like a half hour north of
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if, are these kids riding a bus? If they had a big enough team coming down, they had to ride a bus.
Yeah.
So a bus ain't going 65 mile an hour on 66 going up through the wilds of Clarendon County.
Just to your point, Jake, I played football for Butler, as you guys know. We played at Altoona.
Don't remember you ever telling us this.
We played at Altoona all 4 years from when I was a
That's
freshman, like alternating between JV and varsity. I went to Altoona all 4 years, so I was very familiar with Mansion Park there. My senior year, we played at Altoona. The game started at 7:30, like always. Probably got done around 10. We left around 11, didn't get back because buses are slow, till like 2. And then the next day, we had a JV game. I played varsity and JV my senior year. And I had to wake up at like 7. So we got back at 2. I got home, got to sleep at like 3, woke up at 7, went and played a football game. Scored my only football touchdown, only actual football touchdown that next morning.
On 3 hours of sleep.
3 hours of sleep, Just,
That's the key to Brendan's success. No sleep.
That day, later that day was Penn State Pitt. The first one was 2016, so it was when they first
when
played
they got
again.
back after like 20 years.
I watched like 10 minutes of that game, fell asleep. I slept through the whole game.
The latest game I ever covered ended at like 10:45. Was a district playoff game that went to 11 innings, I think it was, and I was kind of sitting there like, "What are we doing here? Like this is a little much for." I know that they're 17 years old and they're invincible, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just an old man now, or have always been an old man. But it was weird. But anyway, like on the good side of it, like the athletic achievement side of it. I don't know. It's kind of neat. I saw Butler Classic a week and a half before, or almost 2 weeks before that, which is a different type of event. It's not as competitive. It's the first big meet of the year. It's still a little cold. We had a lot less teams, which made it a lot easier to get through. But we had, I don't know. At this point, I think we kind of know who our best athletes are. Kara Fennell had a couple medals there. She won gold in pole vault. Ashton Grossman also won gold in pole vault on the boys' side. So we've got some athletes that can clear the bar here this year that we're going to be paying attention to for the rest of the season. Butler boys relays, I think they got 2 golds and a silver and the 4x1, I think it was. North Catholic's got some really good sprinters and hurdlers, including Anna Lazara, who also won gold in the girls' long jump. That one was kind of fun. I watched the last couple minutes of that. She was like 17.8 going in, which was, I think, tied her PR that she had set the week before. Her last jump, she jumps 18.4 and like surprises the heck out of herself. And the girl that was the favorite to win it from Eden Christian goes and jumps what was a 19, but she had fouled by a 1/4 inch and missed. So foul, it's DQ. She doesn't win it. She finishes second because one of her prelim jumps was 18.3. So no one else got past that during the finals. But we didn't get to see Seneca Valley there. Dakari Payne, Jordan Monteleone, we know are 2 really good field athletes. We'll surely see them at Whippeals coming up here. But yeah, I mean, it kind of gave us a sense of like the athletes we thought we were good. Yes, they are good.
It's a good kind of a mid-season barometer, just because there's so many kids there, and you get to see kind of where you stack up, even though a lot of these schools coming in are from outside the Whippeal. There's District 6 schools, there's District 10, there's District 9.
Mm-hmm.
But it does give you kind of if you're looking to do something big in May and you do well at the Butler Invite, you're on track. It doesn't guarantee anything the rest of the way, but you're on track. But you mentioned Dakari Payne. Sometimes Seneca Valley has kids at the Butler Invite. Sometimes they don't. But I'm excited to see what this kid can do the rest of the way. I think I was telling this I think it was you, Jake.
Mm-hmm.
Last year in AAA at Shippensburg in the state championship, a kid from Muhlenberg won the high jump, AAA with a 6.8.
Mm-hmm.
Dakari Payne has already gone 6.7 this year.
Wow.
6.7 in April and 6.8 last year, won the state meet, which is late May. So I'm excited to see what Dakari Payne, among other athletes in our area. You mentioned Kara Fennell and Ashton Grossman went 15 feet, which is a school record.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I do want to mention that didn't involve the Butler Invitational, but on the same day as the Butler Invite was the Marcy Pico 9 and 10 Invitational down in Seneca Valley, and in that meet, Karn City pole vaulter Alex Wilson broke the school record by going 14.3.
Yeah.
So both he and Grossman are scheduled, obviously, to be at the District 9 championship meet up in Brookville next month, and I wouldn't be surprised if both of those guys go 1-2 to make the state meet. Top 2 from District 9 go to the state meet. And if it's Ashton Grossman and Alex Wilson earning those 2 spots to states, I certainly wouldn't be surprised because they're doing well right now. They're increasing their height on the pole vault consistently. So I'm excited to go up to Brookville, as I always am, but to see what local kids can do achievement-wise before the state meet. I'm looking forward to that. That's in late May.
That's a month from now. Like, I was working on some notes today, just kind of getting organized for the rest of the week. We have 3 full weeks left of the regular season.
Yikes.
3 full weeks. It feels like we just got started.
I've only covered 1 baseball game so far.
I know. It's gone. Now, this is the reason why some of this is the case is because the season started 2 weeks earlier, which has thrown everything off, at least in my internal calendar.
Yeah,
but
same here.
like this week and then 2 more. And some of the sports are going to start postseason a little bit before that, but like in 3 weeks, every sport is out of its regular season, basically.
We're almost to summer.
We're almost to summer.
Track is in full swing, obviously, but there's other things going on. Baseball, boys volleyball, softball. Brendan, between games you've covered, and I know you haven't covered a lot, but you've also been taking some information for the roundup, the high school roundup in the newspaper. What happenings in other sports from around the county have caught your eye?
So what kind of stuck out to me here, I know we've talked about like our baseball previews and stuff already, but the 2 features I wrote last week that are running this week, one is in today's paper of Nolan Stefanik, the Butler pitcher, and the other one, Kyle Krause, a Mars pitcher who is committed to Virginia, will be later this week. I talked to both of them last week, and I got 2 really interesting feature stories out of them. I know it doesn't kind of involve your question, but that was the first thing that came to mind. I figured I'd shout those out and let people know about those. Stefanik is one of those kids that is just all baseball. Like I kind of related to him. Like I'm all football. I watched UFL in the spring. Like he told me that he was sick one day and he didn't want to sit out. Luckily, their game was canceled that night because of rain. But he's one of those kids that just keeps going. And I asked him, he said, these kids are invincible. I was like, you an energy drink guy? You a coffee guy? He's like, I don't need that. It's like, oh yeah, you're 16 years old. You don't need that. But Krause has gone through some personal obstacles with deaths, with a friend's death and family member's death, and then a move. So I really thought his story was interesting too, of moving down to Georgia, coming back, kind of playing with the guys that he played with when he was younger. A lot of interesting stuff in those stories, so please go check those out.
They'll be out. Butler, the Stefaniak story is in Monday's paper. It's online at butlereagle.com, and the Mars story from Krause will be out probably Wednesday, if not Thursday. What about you, Derek? Who's catching your eye? You've been doing a lot of the roundups too.
I have 2 names. I mean, there's been a lot of really good performances. We've taken some names consistently during the course of the spring, but 2 that really jumped out for me is Michael Hands. He's a baseball player at Freeport. Every game they call in, Ed Carr's their coach. It seems like Michael has got 2 or 3 hits, couple runs scored, 2 or 3 RBI. I named him Athlete of the Week. I think it's in this week coming up, this Thursday's Butler Eagle. Just very consistent, always involved in the offense, and that's a team that can score a lot of runs, Freeport baseball, and he's a big reason for that. The other one is a freshman for Knox softball, Emerson Jones. I named her an Athlete of the Week a few weeks ago, and you turn in a really good freshman season. That doesn't guarantee anything moving forward. But obviously this girl, sometimes
she's been on fire since the first game.
Sometimes freshmen can come in any sport and be a little bit overwhelmed. This girl was ready to play. My guess is if she was allowed to play last year as an 8th grader, she'd probably be having a good season. She's ready for the varsity game, putting up huge numbers. I think she bats in the middle of Knox lineup, which isn't surprising with the way she can. I think she has 4 or 5 homers this year. So you think, if this girl continues to work, I'm sure she plays travel ball. What's she going to be doing 2-3 years from now when she's a junior, senior? It's kind of like what we thought about Lexi Hames when she came up as a freshman and was just incredible at the plate and in the circle as a pitcher. What is she going to be able to do moving forward? What ways can she improve, because she's already a stud on the diamond as a freshman, and that's the case now with Emerson Jones, the Knox softball player. Just a freshman, bright future ahead, and she's helping Knox win games, definitely.
I think I'm going to go off board here. I'm working on the story hopefully for later this week. Stephanie Mock-Grubbs, she's a former Butler volleyball player. She's an assistant trainer for the Astros, and I talked to her for close to an hour last week. I think it was. She can talk. She's super excitable. She's got a lot to say. She's got a lot that she tries to do every day. Brings a lot of energy to the Astros players, which I've read some stuff from MLB.com and Houston Chronicle about her as well, and they're like, yes, she's like, you come in at 6 o'clock in the morning for workouts or 8 o'clock in the morning for workouts or whatever, and here's this 5'3", 5'5" Spitfire that's way more excitable than you. Looks like she's been on like 4 espressos already, and you've got to try to match that energy.
4 Coke Zeros.
4 Coke Zeros in Derek's case. The story is going to be interesting though, because there aren't too many trainers in the pro level that are women, and she's one of the few right now, and she's a Butler girl. So yeah, I'm going off script a little bit here, or outside the box for the question that you asked, but I think this is going to be an interesting story that people are going to be curious about and want to read.
Started off on a different note this week there. It threw me off. Okay, Derek. I was watching NFL films on YouTube last night as I was writing, hanging out.
First of all, I'm proud of you.
The 2005, 2006 season, the Steelers won the Super Bowl 40. Ran through Indianapolis. Late in the game, they can go up, they hand the ball to Jerome Bettis. He can score a touchdown, they'd put it out of reach. He doesn't. He fumbles the ball. Who was the player that forced that fumble?
Ooh.
Gary Brackett.
I'm tired of you.
18-15.
3 games up. Look at that.
I'm on a cold streak.
My dad's like, he should be 32-0.
Gary Brackett.
Whatever.
Do you know that there was a guy in a sports bar in Pittsburgh who had a heart attack? This is true. When Bettis fumbled, he survived.
Crazy.
He survived, but he had a heart attack when Bettis fumbled.
I remember watching that game. I remember being I was 7. I was like freaking out, and then Ben Roethlisberger made that tackle.
Another play that completely gets lost in that is after Harper returned the ball to just shy of midfield, Roethlisberger makes his all-time great tackle. About 3 plays after that, Manning had, I think it was Reggie Wayne, open in the end zone.
I saw that.
Do you remember who broke up the ball? I mean, the ball was there.
I was going to ask you that. Just Brian McFadden.
Yeah, I mean, he made a great play to break that up, and then Vanderjagt ends up missing that field goal, and that was it. But, yeah, I mean.
Idiot kicker.
Yeah, idiot kicker.
Welcome to Beyond Butler, our weekly segment where we talk about something outside of Butler County sports, whether that be professionally or collegially. Derek and I both got out to games this weekend. Both had very nice seats, which leads me to ask, what are the nicest seats that you guys have ever had at a sporting event?
That was it.
That was it?
Not just because of I was, to give people an idea, I was behind home plate, 5 rows back. Like every time a pitch was thrown, we were on TV. Not that we get cable now, but we don't have cable for the summer. But every pitch was, I had a bright yellow hat on. It was a pirate hat. My wife's next to me. On the other side of her was my son. So we were right there. I just kind of I wanted to be incognito because I was like, I told Will, my wife turned to him and she said, you can't pick your nose here because we're on TV. And then she turned to me and said the same thing. So yeah, that was definitely, but it wasn't just the view that we had. We're basically ground level. I mean, right there. But also all the food was free. The only thing we had to pay for was if we wanted it, an alcoholic drink, and we didn't get any of that, so everything was free.
So Jake was gracious enough to let me off early on Friday, change my shift around a little bit, and my best friend got free tickets from going to one of the games earlier this season that was freezing cold. So Pirates gave free tickets because, they're trying to do some goodwill in the community and make people not hate Bob Nutting. It's not working. But he got seats 5 rows back on the third base side, right in front of third base. So those were the nicest seats I've ever had. It was very crowded down there. Everybody's trying to get autographs before the game. I'm just sitting there trying to eat a Philly cheesesteak and dropping it all over myself. But those are the nicest seats I've had at a baseball game. But I went to an XFL game. You remember when I went to XFL game in DC? I told you about that. And they played the Las Vegas Vipers, or the Vegas Vipers. Martavis Bryant was on that team. So I went for Steelers Now, the site that I work with. And I went to take pictures from the sideline. Like, we got sideline credentials. Super cool, like availability. Like, they just let you down on the field. And you just had to flash your pass, and you could stand down there. And you could hear the hits. Like, you don't think that that's spring football. They hit hard. You could hear the, like, crack of the helmets and the players talking to each other and stuff. So they're not technically seats, but that was, like, right behind the bench, right next to the bench. I got some cool pictures of Martavis Bryant. But that's the best, like, not seat, but standing room, whatever.
Speaking of, didn't you go down to some type of minor league football game to, like, get an interview with somebody?
That was that game. Yeah.
And they didn't let you give.
Yeah, and the Vegas media guy, the communications guy, basically told me to kick rocks.
Pound salt.
He's like, Martavis Bryant pulled his hamstring.
He drove down to D.C. to get an interview with this guy.
4.5 hours. And then he's like, here's my business card. Email me. I emailed him. Never heard back.
Nice.
I was so upset.
The nicest tickets I've ever had was last year. A friend gifted Mallory and I front row seats on the first baseline for Pirates Cardinals on July 4th. Mallory did not think to wear sunscreen on her legs while wearing shorts that day. Spent the next 3 days in agony in bed because she had really bad sunburn. But I think like the best, I think nostalgia wise or like atmosphere wise, the best seats I've had were actually third base upper deck of a Phillies game my sophomore year of college. We went on the night Roy Oswalt pitched. I think he won about 6 2/3 innings. That's probably what he always did around that time. It was the night that they clinched their third straight NL East pennant. I think it was the third straight, and it was against the Braves. And we, being poor college students, were up in the third deck of a packed Citizens Bank Park, and we're all screaming like crazy. I have some photos from that, I believe, still. That one rings that one stands out to me a lot just because of like the situation. They were not good seats in terms of physically close to the field, but they were great seats in terms of like what I got to witness.
I was always a big fan of that pitching rotation. Cliff Lee and Roy Halladay and
Cole Hamels.
Cole Hamels. I have a Cole Hamels game used jersey card. I think it's pretty cool.
I've told you guys this before. The best game I ever saw was he threw his no-hitter at Wrigley Field. Yeah. And I was not supposed to be at that game. I was supposed to be to the game the next day. I will never beat another situation like that. That is an all-timer for me.
I got a good one. So the owner of the Padres who passed away, Peter Seidler.
Yes.
His wife used to take my soul cycle class. So she invited my boyfriend and I. We were in the owner's box, and then she took us down and we sat in their seats right behind home plate.
Darn.
And I did a shot of tequila while I was there. It was awesome.
Wow.
I don't remember who we were playing, but it was 2018, 2019.
Because of the tequila? As I ruined my
Probably.
own joke.
But the thing is, here's what I have to say. He's now my ex-boyfriend, and I'm going to say this. He's a huge Padres fan. Grew up in San Diego. He didn't get to go sit in those seats. Only I did. It was just 4 of us girls.
That's one park I would love to go to. Just like there's
that
like warehouse
beautiful.
in left
Yep.
field. It just looks awesome.
Yeah. You should. You should make that.
I'm booking it right now. I'm going.
Yeah. Book right now. I'll start.
Derek and I are going on a road trip. Jake will be back in a week or so.
I'll reach out. I'll reach out to Sheil and say, hey, my buddy's coming. He's on our sports podcast. It doesn't hurt to reach out, right?
Gretzky.
I am. I had a couple numbers that were incorrect, so I'm doing more research. And the studio that I taught at is no longer there. So I think one of the managers, I need to reach out to her because she still lives in Calabasas. So
who would Laura rather go on a date with? Derek's dad or Wayne Gretzky?
Well, Wayne's got the money, but hey.
But your dad has that Pittsburgh accent.
He's got the swag.
And he's going to have that new knee here soon.
He does have a knee.
Watch out, Wayne.
The NFL draft is being held. It starts the day that this podcast is dropped, April 24th, Thursday. So give us a draft day memory from either growing up or even over the last few years. Brendan, I know you love the draft. You got to have a lot of memories.
So I was thinking back to my first memory of the draft, and up until it would have been the 2007 draft, right, that the Oakland Raiders traded Randy Moss to the New England Patriots. I never really remember having a memory before. And it's funny because we were in my uncle's truck. He was a trucker. And he had this nice big rig, and the back he had like a cab where his bed was. And my dad and him were listening to the draft on Sirius XM, which is funny because I don't think my dad cares about the draft whatsoever nowadays. Like it comes and goes, and he probably doesn't even know about it. But I remember hearing like Schefter or whoever calling in and saying like, the Oakland Raiders are trading Randy Moss. And at that point, I knew who Randy Moss was because I watched the games. I remember watching the game live where he fake mooned Lambeau. And that is a disgusting act by Randy Moss. And that's my first memory of the draft was him getting traded to the Patriots. I think I looked it up, and it was only for like a 4th round pick. So that's the biggest draft trade steal of like all time.
Randy Moss's 2 years in Oakland. It's like, I mean, he was such a talent, but when he was out there, it was like, is he still in the league? Oh, yeah, he does.
Have his quarterback back then. It wasn't Rich Gannon.
Andrew Walter.
Andrew Walter.
Who?
Arizona State product.
Andrew Walter.
Who?
They beat the Steelers. Andrew, yeah. That was their quarterback. When did they draft Jamarcus Russell? When was that?
That would have been 2007. So I don't think it would have been the same draft. It might have been the same draft that they took Russell in.
Maybe it was.
Yeah, and maybe they traded away. I'm going to look it up now. Oh, second time.
Laura's gonna launch herself over this table.
Draft day memory.
I guess I don't know what else to pick because like I follow the draft every year, and as I've gotten a little older, I guess I don't get as excited for it each time. But
of course, because your team plays in the Super Bowl and ours doesn't.
Hey, this did kind of count even pre-Super Bowl, although I was pretty jazzed about getting Carson Wentz in 2017. No, it had to be 2016 because they went to the Super Bowl the second year. The first draft that I remember was the year that they drafted Donovan McNabb, and that was 1999 over Tim Couch because those were the top 2 quarterbacks to go that year. I don't really remember fans at New York booing the pick over Ricky Williams because that was the thing. Like, you're going to pick the running back number 1. That was still the era in which like running backs could go in the top 10. I don't really remember McNabb getting booed on the stage for that. Obviously, it's been a huge talking point since then, but I just remember following that draft a little bit more. Like, I was finally starting to get into sports like that. There was like a 2 or 3 year stretch there where I just started to pay attention more and understand and grasp the Phillies, the Eagles, and then later like the Sixers and Flyers and stuff like that. And that was the first draft I remember.
I still can't believe that the Eagles drafted McNabb over Cade McNown from UCLA. Come on. Jeez, that guy was a star in the making. That was another quarterback that was in that draft, Tim Couch and Cade McNown from UCLA. Cade McNown was horrible.
He was so bad. He actually might have been in the league longer than McNabb.
McNown?
Like a backup.
I think he might have been. I got to look this up now.
I think you might be thinking of Josh McCown.
I always got that mixed up.
Cade
might be
McNown.
right.
Cade McNown was pretty.
Yeah.
He was like 2-3 years.
He played for like the Bears, and then
You might be right about that. I might be getting them mixed up. Oh, yeah, he was out in 2 years. Okay, never mind.
1996, Steelers coming off their Super Bowl 30 appearance. They trade a draft pick for Jerome Bettis. Because at that point, I didn't know this at the time, but Rich Brooks, the head coach of the Rams, just did not like Bettis for some reason. Brooks became the coach of the Rams before the 95 season. Bettis played Bettis played 95 with the Rams. His yardage went down to like just over 600, and I'm thinking, this guy is he hurt? Is he not putting in the effort? Apparently, somehow he got in Rich Brooks' doghouse. The draft came around. The Rams drafted Lawrence Phillips, and they traded Bettis to the Steelers. Well, Phillips was an incredible talent. When he played, when he wasn't behind bars, he was good. But
I listened to a podcast a few years ago about Lawrence Phillips and his girlfriend in Nebraska, and he once took her and held her by her hair over a balcony.
Yeah, and this was stuff that was known going into the draft, and they still drafted him, and they traded Jerome Bettis. What happens? Lawrence Phillips ends up in jail, and I believe he actually died a few years ago. And Bettis goes on to a Hall of Fame career. The first, I'm trying to think of it in my head, the first 2,800 yards or so, 2,700 yards, of his career were gained with the Rams, but then he comes to Pittsburgh and runs for over 10,000, wins a Super Bowl. So I think the Steelers definitely got that the better end of that deal. I watched that draft that day at my cousin Chucky's house, and history was made. Jerome Bettis, his first season with the Steelers, he took on the nickname the Bus. It didn't take long because his first few games with the Steelers were kind of broke out. So
His name was actually the Bus well before the Steelers. Do you know that?
I did not know that.
He was nicknamed the Bus at Notre Dame. I actually have the podcast clip.
I did not know that.
Twitter about why he was nicknamed the Bus. I always thought it was because he was a Steelers too, because yellow and black and school bus. But
There might actually be a little bit of Eagles-Steelers competition here in the draft this week. Walter Nolan's been tied to the Steelers and the Eagles.
I wrote about that last night.
Yeah. So
That's Walter Nolan.
Walter Nolan did defensive tackle for Ole Miss.
He was the number 2 player in the 22 class. He was a 5-star, only behind Travis Hunter. Went to Texas A&M first, transferred to join Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. Pretty good defensive tackle.
If you excel in the SEC, that's pretty honey badger. That's all I got to say, honey badger.
AP also mocked the Steelers trading up into number 32 to get Jackson Dart with the Eagles. That'll be interesting to see.
Jackson Dart.
So
I can't wait to watch the draft on Thursday.
I'm gonna be sitting in the office by myself watching this and just wondering what you guys' reactions are gonna be to the draft.
I'll probably be playing online Scrabble.
I will be glued to the TV all of Thursday night at my best friend's apartment.
Derek, the quest that you have been assigned to.
I actually assigned this to myself.
The mission, should you choose to accept it, is
I accept.
name all of the scoring plays in order of Super Bowl 13.
Stallworth, first scoring play for Super Bowl 13. John Stallworth, pass from Bradshaw.
Yep.
Tony Hill for the Cowboys, pass from Staubach.
Yep.
Dallas again, Hegman fumble return.
Yep.
Pittsburgh, Stallworth, pass from Bradshaw.
Yep.
Pittsburgh, Blyer, pass from Bradshaw.
Yep.
Cowboys, Raphael Septien, field goal.
Yep.
Steelers, Franco Harris, run.
Yep.
Steelers, Lynn Swan, pass from Bradshaw.
Yep.
Cowboys, Billy Joe Dupree, pass from Staubach.
Yep.
Cowboys, Butch Johnson, pass from Staubach.
I can't even tell you all the scoring plays from this last Super Bowl.
I can't do the last few Super Bowls either, but
The Eagles
70s.
just won this 2 months ago, and I can't even tell you what all the plays were.
well, they won. That's the important thing for you.
Yes, that's exactly right.
We encourage you to subscribe to the Butler Eagle YouTube channel and Apple or Spotify podcasts or your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Alter Eagle Podcast and at Butler Eagle News. Goodbye.